Welcome back, friends, to EU League. It's time for game number 4, BDS versus MNM Gaming, about to begin. It's UK Massive, and it's France, Massive France baking. I don't know what to do it now in this, but this is what we got. The reason why I'm standing here is because Fabian and I were trying to get Fresh to host the show today, at least for this game, but he's getting stage fright.
I got nervous. A little bit of stage fright from me. I would trip over my words when I come into it. I'd be like, and welcome back to game 4, and we've got someone else against someone else.
Well, you already did a pretty good job of it.
That was actually not too bad.
We got the best host of them all here with us. Hello,
I don't have a mic. I can't do this bit.
Wait. Speak.
Wow, what did you think about that, analysts who are clever? That's what you have as the script?
Yeah.
Analysts who are clever clearly got the wrong tool.
What clever?
Well, friends, MNM versus BDS. Let's start off with MNM because, I mean, if we're looking at that, it's been mostly UK flaccid right now.
And you're looking at me to try and determine that they're not UK flaccid, they're actually UK Massive. That's exactly what I'm going to do. They play the top 2 teams in the league. Well, we're the top 2 teams in the league. G2 now proving that they suck, to be honest. Heroic and G2 lost 7-4 to G2, both to those two. Fine. Team Secret, they took the wrong approach. They didn't find out that they were playing against a coach until the day, and they decided to focus too much on themselves and not the fact that they were playing against a coach, and got punished for it playing. And you know, both Secret have won their 2 games with the coach. So there's my 3 excuses for MNM. What I will say is that they've got some incredibly gifted players. Solotov, Tyrant, Users in particular. And that if this team doesn't start moving forward like we know it has the potential to, those players, you know, they need better. They need better support around them, if not.
Jack, we've spoken, 3 playdays about how talented the individuals they have at the front. Honestly, it's not up to them anymore to step up. It's to the people in the back.
The party in the back.
Because right now, they are being held back, and I'm not saying that in some sort of negative way, but it's just statistically speaking, they are being held back. They're not getting the players that are behind them to do the work that they need to do to fill the gaps that are created after the front line. So we have it simple. It's Neo and Leon that needs to step up. That's it.
And Nello.
Leon.
Leon is Nello.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what his name's Leon.
His L is large. Have you not realized that? It's N-E large L-O.
Yeah, it's switched.
Yeah.
Nello, Leon.
Yeah. Even production's
fine.
I've met the guy.
So it doesn't really matter, but they need to step up.
Well, what about BDS on the other side? Because last time we're looking, hey, BDS LFO, it's a big French game, and then kind of BDS whack them out.
Yeah, BDS, so it's kind of funny, the level of expectations that we put on BDS, right? We sit there and after the first 2 games, we're saying, oh, they're playing really bad. They weren't playing great, don't get me wrong, but we're sitting there where they've taken 50% of the points that they needed after 2 playdays, and we're criticizing them heavily. Then they go up against LFO, and LFO is a team we've been hyping up really well, and they just basically send them off the map. I don't think that there might not be as deep of a valley as we expected them when it comes to their performance. I just think that they need to get back on track and then get their stuff sorted.
Teams value different competitions differently.
Yeah.
You look at a lot of EU League teams don't value their national leagues to the same regard that a national league team does. BDS, in my mind, are kind of, not that they're disrespecting EUL as a league, but they see it as a way to achieve majors and 6 Invitational. Therefore, I feel like, especially at this stage, their aim is just top 4, just get to the major. It's not necessarily, they've been there, they've done it, they won it flawlessly in 2021, even stage 3, didn't lose a single game. They don't need to prove anything now. It's just about top 4 for them. So I'm going to give them a bit of an excuse for that slow start, and you know, they look fine.
What they need to prove is, can we win internationally?
Yes.
That question has been hovering over their minds.
That's that void that they're in.
Like, by the time we get to the major, almost 2.5 years. That's a lot. That is actually the kind of average career for a player in this case. It's pretty insane to look at in this way. But our map, what will it be? Let's bring it up on the screen for everybody at home. 9 map pool, 8 are out, 1 is left, and we're going to be left with BDS choice of Oregon. Skyscraper removed, and MNM will start on the defense. That's the one they picked. Jack, what do you think?
Not surprised to see BDS get rid of Skyscraper. They had a bit of a torrid time on it against Rogue. Going to Oregon, which has kind of started slipping down the preference of BDS. They've not particularly liked it. It's a mainstay map for MNM, though. They absolutely love playing on Oregon. So if there is a map that MNM will start off with a win and an upset, it will be Oregon, in my mind.
I feel like starting defense for MNM is also going to be a good choice. It means that they don't have the pressure to start their first 6 rounds with attacking and having the pressure of dictating the tempo of the game. Here they can sit back a bit, relax a bit, maybe get into the flow of things, grab those 4-2 start of an Oregon, because we expect a 4-2 start when you start defense, and then kind of just find your groove in their attacks. Having those 2 rounds up gives you a nice cushion to kind of fall back on. You expect yourself to go 4-4 maybe, and then keep going from there.
How do you think they'll find that space quickly? Or lobby's ready?
I don't know if they're going to find it, though. Like, I'm just hypothesizing, or whatever the name is.
Hypothesizing.
Yeah, that's the word. Way too English for me. It's just like they just need to play their own game and get back into a team group, and we need to see both Nello and Neo actually perform.
BDS have been known to let rounds slip on this particular map. They went up against Heroic, which is old Heroic, not current Heroic, last stage on this map in stage 3. It took them getting all the way to overtime and the comeback to win it. I think it was 8-7. And realistically, what they do on this map is pretty scripted. They don't deviate from the plan. I think it was Bios that referenced it in the interview last week, was that a lot of teams know what they're going to do. It's just up to BDS to do it better. And I think that's what the result will be determined on, is whether BDS decide to do it better. Or not decide, but turn up today.
I have a quick minute here as there is a slight delay in the lobby. Any more things that we can kind of look at here? Any operator bans, for example, that can be helpful for certain positions? We talk about that basement take that can be difficult for some teams at times.
I don't know if there's going to be any bans that are like specific that's going to make things go better. Obviously, when I look at this map and I see it from MNM's perspective, because I rather see it from the underdog and what can they do different to win the game. I think that if they try to do a little bit of OSA plays when they're going for a meeting bomb site in attack, I would like to see that, but I would also like to see some Ying in the attacks from MNM, because what I'm looking at, I'm just sitting here and expecting a 4-2 defense side for MNM, because if they don't get the 4-2, then I think they're going to be in trouble. Yeah,
BDS are a team that like to start attack, generally put teams under pressure, and then go into the quote-unquote better defensive half and just have an easy time to the win. So I think MNM really need to get those defenses on the board.
If they get 3-3 and go over to defense, how comfortable is that?
Well, let's see if it actually translates in a game beyond the theory. Fabian Fresh, thank you very much. That's MNM versus BDS, broken down and ready. Let's toss it back to our casters. It's Fluke and Ace. Enjoy.
4 out of 5, and we are still going strong. This time we have got BDS versus MNM. 34 out of 36 regulation rounds so far. I'm not sure the teams are appreciating that we're doing all 5 tonight. Maybe a quicker one on the cards here?
Who's counting? Who's counting the fact that it was 2-5 leads that then went into longer stretch games? Who's counting these things? I'm certainly not. You're certainly not.
Not at all.
Not at all. Okay, it's a lot of fun. And obviously you and I are well versed. This is just, as we said at the beginning, a best of 5 final.
It's not our first time.
The thing is, all right, this is the biggest reach analysis I've ever done. MNM are really good in best of 5 finals. They're really good in best of 5 finals. If we see this as a best of 5 final, and you guys at home see this as a best of 5 final, maybe that energy will come into MNM right now.
I think they're going to need some energy, if I'm honest. BDS looked good on the last Playday. MNM have struggled so far. You know, it's no secret. I've enjoyed watching this org. You know, I've sort of always root for them a little bit.
Yeah.
I never let it creep into my casting, obviously. Professional at heart.
No.
But, you know, I like to see MNM do well. It's been tough to watch them have a struggle as they have at the beginning of EUL. Do I think this is the Playday where they're going to turn it around? Let's be honest, this is a steep challenge to do it. They've got more in the tank. We know that. They've shown it us. SI Quals, SI itself, Challenger League. We know that they've got more in the tank than they've shown us. But BDS, if anybody's going to keep MNM down, it's going to be this team.
BDS. Okay, let's focus on you a little bit, because you're punching towards the top of the board. It hasn't been the smoothest BDS run. If you're new to EUL, if you're new to what the Spirit is like, if you've watched the other regions and wanted to see how we fare and focus during our interleague play, BDS are the bar. They're this sort of hurdle that a lot of teams have to go over to because they had this consistency. It was a terrifying consistency. It was a very good consistency where they would always bring the same pace every single game and they would always keep hitting the same medal. This time round, after the sort of disappointment that happened at the start of the year with SI and the story there, they seemed a little bit disheartened in the opening couple of games. They didn't seem to have that same flair and love and passion for the game, which is understandable when you go through something stressful, when you go through a bit of heartache. It does become tough to sort of get back on the horse and get a ride in. They've started to, in the last game, for me, get a little bit more confident, and you want to see that as a BDS fan build a little bit.
Well, here and now is the time for them to build it. Round 1, Oregon, and they're going to be attacking onto the basement. Now then, BDS tend to come from the bunker and rear stage side more often than not, attacks from memory. I always like to see a bit of pressure all around, get somebody into freezer, maybe bottom of laundry stairs, at least 2 out of the 3, mix it up, make MNM focus elsewhere, make them turn their backs. If it all comes in that one direction, it comes down to winning your gunfights, which is a thing that BDS are more than capable of doing, but why run the risk? It looks like they are going to be going for the west clearance. They're going to be coming in through small tower, which will then leave them sweeping across, clearing out any roamers, and there is the potential for a little bit of freezer pressure as well. So far, so good.
Now, Tyrant, he is trying to hold off on an approach here, and he's had a little bit of the connection. I know they talked about players that they want to see step in and step up to this, and Tyrant is definitely one of those that can try and put a bit of distance in. Yuzis and Solotov have been very good for MNM. Even though they haven't really been able to pull a point, they've always had a bit of fight in their games. It's not quite been big sweeps against them. It's just been tough days at the office, and unfortunately 3 of them. This, though, if they can try and thread some of that behind them, they might be able to build something. It's quick here from Shaiko to be holding the pressure down onto the side of Freezer, but he's going to pull back and let some of the work of BDS be done on the hatches and the stretch across the top of Attic by the looks of it.
Pretty typical for BDS, really, getting those drones in and Shaiko following them in. Obviously, you know, with the level of gun skill that he's got, he's more than confident in his ability to win out any surprise gunfights if he gets, you know, approaching somebody a little bit too quickly. So it's not too unusual, but as you say, he's just had to put the brakes on a little bit and wait for the rest of the team to catch up. Rafal is going to start opening out this hatch. If you've seen people draw around the edge of it before and you're wondering, why is Rafal doing it this way? It's because it doesn't matter. It's all about the percentage of the damage that is done, and then the hatch will explode. So depending on where it's located, you can do it as you see fit. Shaiko sending nades over the top.
You said he was confident in his guns?
What a shot onto Tyrant.
Yeah, he's pretty confident. He pushed forward, hit the gun 6, and then tapped a bullet. It doesn't matter if it's an LMG. It could have just been one of those little pocket pistols, and the man can still find a head with it. Now he's going to see if he can try and push a little bit further behind. They've cleared themselves that space. They've gotten a little bit of an angle in here, and you can see they've stacked a kid up just on the swing round of the washing machine on the laundry side. Alems takes users, takes care of business, and Shaiko takes a little bit more of Freezer. Solotov stops at least all of the blood from leaving their body, but they've got to try and fight a little bit further. The grenade buys them a little pocket of space, and Neo takes care of Shaiko. He's going to see if he can retake Freezer. There's another player just on the swing round in the back of the blue lockers here. They go wide, and they're able to win it out. Playday with the pre-fire gets that kill, puts him into a 3 versus 1. Solotov, he's got a body that's just dropped onto E-Box. He's suffering from the other side. He's trying to isolate a fight, but Renshiro was aware. BDS take the first.
At the beginning of the round, you might recall, I said I'd like to see pressure from multiple sides from BDS. Freezer, rear stage, electric, and laundry. They delivered, and did they deliver kills? BDS going fantastically well in round 1, looking very, very solid. It was a spirited fight back from MNM in the mid-round. They were able to get it back to almost level situation, 2v3, but just weren't able to get the job done. BDS finding those final kills and doing so very, very well. It's going to prompt MNM to think, yeah, we're not going to try that again. We're going to head up to dorms. They want to get themselves around on the board. The problem that they've got is that this is a bit of an all or nothing round. If you don't get this, you've lost your 2 primary sites, and surely you start worrying at that point.
So up to dorms. MNM, and what can you thread here? It's often stated about Oregon that it is the most balanced map in the pool. Teams, you know, there's always preferences of whether they're a better attacker or a defender team, regardless, but this map as a play space is one where both of those teams can create success. Both of them can really drive home on a half. It's not anything that sort of lends itself better one way or the other. You can be creative, you can be a bit possessive at points, and that is something that both these teams are going to be well aware of. MNM, as you said, they want to make sure they can do some damage here on Dorms. It seems like they wanted to lean in to an early fight there and see if they could catch Shaiko at his game of drone the man in, hunt the man down, but he's just slowed a little. To be fair, slowed is still a tick in success.
It's certainly better than fast Shaiko.
It is.
Slow Shaiko is certainly better than fast Shaiko. You don't want him getting too aggressive onto you. Solotov's just going to hold his angle for the time being. We've got a man locked inside of showers, drone taken out, and that's going to tell them exactly where he is. But BDS are going to be aware that there's going to be a rotation, I would imagine. The drone will have seen it, so they'll know that he can move through into kitchen as well. Solotov, of course, wanting to hold that position. He's got the impact nade in pocket, so he's open one up with a rotation, but he can use the other to open the ceiling above him and give him angles through to the side should he need them later in the round. So it's quite a power position inside of kitchen, and BDS will be keen to get it opened up and get him cleared away so that they can start using double windows, so that they can start looking to aggress in from there.
Tyrant. He's waiting with what is a two-factor sort of hold here. One is the escape route for Solotov, should he need it, but he's also got the impact. If he doesn't want to try and use it vertically, he can hit himself onto meeting and get a slip out behind the hefty machinery that gives him a little bit more support. The drone's coming through, and I believe a player is about to rotate onto server as well. They're trying to cook some damage and grenades underneath and just do as much as they can around the space of that player and ignore them. There's also the Jaeger, as I was starting my point here, can creep up the back of the tower stairs. Two French players were making their ingress there, and one French player had a decision to make, and that was to take care of there, and it's all over the board. So sudden. They strike, remove a lot of the MNM hold here, leaving users to get that opener on the top of White Stairs. They still have the player inside as well, but that three-pronged strike at exactly the same time at the drop of a hat. When I said BDS has seemingly lost a little bit of their heart, they're sort of showing it now.
It feels like they might have just found it now. Oh, he's holding the tight angle. The nade comes in. Rafal, easy as that. 1, 2, 3. Nello goes down. And that leaves us now in a 1v4 for users as he tries to find anything. He's going to get himself into pit, taking a lot of shots, though. They know exactly where he is. That came from the window. Out goes the Nitro. Will not get the player as he's just holding a better angle than that. Breeder is getting the diffuser down. Users is ultimately able to find Rafal, but Renshiro's on the cover, and BDS just looking like they have got every angle on lock at the minute.
I know you said it was the two core sites and to see them is a worry, but if I'm honest, you could put this current BDS on any two sites in the world against any team, and any team would be worried. They are how they're playing when they're on their best, and they are not missing a step. The pace is so hot, so much hotter, faster and quicker than I think any of the openings they've had on the first 3 play days. They've otherwise been a little bit hit and miss before they bring it back round to a score here. While they're making sure that they are hitting the ground running, and anyone that is between them and where they want to be. MNM, a little bit of shell shock, a little bit surprise, a little bit concern, but they're going to head their way back down. The clash is going to enter the hands of the defenders, and they're going to see if Nello can be a little bit more of a buffer.
For those who heard the discussion about Nello's name, obviously,
Yeah.
was that on broadcast or was it off? I think it was on because it was production were in their ears.
It was on.
There was some amazement. There was a lot. So Nello is called Leon, and that's why he's got a capital L in his name, because it's just a rearrangement of the letters, and that blew a few minds before we got into this.
You know, I'm sure. I wish for everyone that we had mic'd up when that conversation happened, I wish we had medics in our ear as well for that. If you don't know, the other Croatian sensation from the Aldria scene. I can only imagine his response. Probably full of swears.
That doesn't sound like the medics I know and love. MNM back, and they need to find a response against BDS here. They're going to be down to Laundry again, as you say, bringing the clash along, seeing if that can make the difference. It's one of those, for me, it's sometimes a little bit of a desperation roll of the dice. Let's bring the shield. You get it on attack as well. We can't get this over the line. Let's try and get the Monty in there and see what we can do. It's a very powerful operator, and for good reason it is brought along in those sort of circumstances, whereby you particularly struggling to slow a team down, to stop a push in a certain direction, it just gives that brick wall. It makes it very difficult. You get a lot of information from it. It can just be fantastic in those sorts of areas. So we'll see if that can be the difference maker for MNM this time.
I love that he shot a little route through for the drone there. The drone just sort of pleadingly pinged to the wall, and Renshiro was like, all right, out you go, but make sure you're safe and come back in 11 and call me if anything happens. And to be fair, they probably will, because they're getting a full stretch of information. They are more than able, ready and happy to get the read on where everybody is seemingly getting set up. Shaiko is back in, causing problems in Freezer, but he's doing the approach that is metered by how quickly he thinks he should be moving, which is good. You don't want a player to just keep throwing themselves into the grinder to see if they can find the same success as before. He's ensuring that the rest of BDS is set up and ready to work with him.
Shaiko sees the bulletproof camera ahead of him. Nade will go out to take care of it, and then nades are raining in around the corner. Now we're going to take a little fraction of damage, but nothing too much, and he is there in position, ready to stop that Freezer push and make their life difficult. You've got to remember, though, Nello really needs a second defender playing with him. He's got that in Tyrant at the minute, and that's because he doesn't have a gun in hand. He's obviously using that shield, feeding information, and then you want somebody who can react to it. I mean, Shaiko sometimes just cannot be stopped, and that is one of those times. It doesn't matter there's a clash there. You know what? He's still going to take the peak. He's still going to get the kill, and then he's going to aggress onto your shield as well. He doesn't care. He's looking for any angles he can. MNM have managed to get themselves one back along the way. Shaiko just... take it over him.
Take it over, and Shaiko does. Swings his way around, gets one more. Playday locks off the kill onto the clash. There's a pillar player, but not for very long.
Can't play against that.
And that is that worry, that is that underline, is it doesn't really matter what MNM are doing right now. Not in a cruel way, because obviously you and I, we don't say it, we do have history with MNM. They came from our region, we've cast them across many different rosters, lovely org, wonderful team. It could be any 5 cams you have on your screen right now. It could be any second name opposite BDS right now in the world. I'm not just saying in a UL.
Can't play against that.
How do you? What response do you have? What conversation do you have right now? Because it's not that MNM are strategically doing too many horrible things from Roebuck. It's not that they're not trying new things. And it's not that they're not sort of opening things, but you blink and you've missed it.
Shaiko hopping through the Freezer wall as Clash is challenged from Freezer door to take the kill. That is... it's just... that... I feel sorry for MNM right now, because what do they do to turn this around now? They've got BDS who've won 3 very good rounds there. They are looking electric, they're looking dangerous, and they've just got the answer to everything. I think we're going to see it now. We've got Nello backed up. Shaiko gets 1. That was the first peak that he takes with the clash there. It doesn't matter. And then he finds the vault. Through he goes, finds the kill. Just between the two of them, it was actually Playday who got the kill. But between the two of them, it was just perfect. And then Shaiko carries on.
Rounds like that are the reason this team is called by a lot of people as the best to have never won it.
Yep.
And there's a couple of teams that are in that contention, sure, but they are a constant there. And they don't always play to this level, don't get us wrong. They haven't been playing to this level. The first 3 Playdays have not been the BDS that we would call world beaters. They're not the BDS where every single time we go, this time's our major.
Yeah. Consistency has been a problem.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But when it happens... oh.
It's terrifying. Absolutely terrifying. Right, on to round 4 we go. MNM, they just need to scrub that round. They need to forget about it. But the problem is they're going to struggle to forget about it because they're back downstairs in Laundry trying to hold on to the same site. I think they're going to see and feel a very similar attack from BDS coming in here, because why not? It's worked so far twice. Just surround them, push from Freezer, but that is a better start. Tyrant, he gets his revenge, takes Shaiko off the board, but Alems is there, and this is the problem with BDS. They've got a strong second line, third line, back line. It doesn't matter. Alems is going to come in and find a kill on the top floor, level things out. That's users gone, 4v4.
And that's it. It's an important time. You've heard it quoted a couple of times, but that window is often cited as being about 7 seconds to make an impact back on one being made against your team. That was well within that window. They saw the ping, had the reveal. Users tried to push his luck and get a double down, and it was punished. And that could be a costly moment. They've obviously lost Shaiko, who was the tip. You're about to see the others, the sort of full-handed swipe that BDS can do as they grasp around any site, any which way, and wherever they want to try and shake it and see what players come loose. The pressure is coming in a pretty similar way. This is also another BDS thing on their day. Open up pretty much every avenue. They've got preparation done, and they've got it done within about 1.5 minutes on every single potential drop and chance. Sure, there's other bits, there's cameras, there's defaults, but look at what they've taken care of. Hatches, doors, angles. They have the meat and bones of what needs to be it. They just need to try and add the skeleton, which is them.
For MNM now, it must feel like, where do you focus? Because, as you say, they're just opening up everything. There's pressure coming from everywhere. You could be like, oh, I think there's one rear stage. Oh, there's one in bunker, right? There's possibly one in freezer. Like, you just don't know what is going on. Those bulletproof cameras are going to be invaluable to them, feeding information in. And if there's any black eyes left as well, that is going to be a big utility for MNM to try and make the use of. For the time being, the Toxic Babe canisters are going to hold BDS at bay. Nello gets one. Rafal with the trade. One onto Neo. 3 versus 3. BDS pushing forward, but not quite as aggressive or confident as they've maybe been able to do it in the last few rounds. Starting to find kills now. MNM managed to get Rafal down. That'll be Nello finding his man and leaves us now in a 2 versus 3. It's Elems and Brede with it all to do, and MNM can pretty much hold angles here, but I don't know. Elems is going to find one anyway onto Solotov, and that gives an opportunity potentially for Brede to get in here. The problem is Freezer right now.
And a bulletproof that's giving the call an eye on everything they're doing, the swing and the jiggle, but it's a push and it's a take, and it's almost one more there. Lems is driving with that LMG. Nello takes the double. Now with a pocket full of seconds, it's Nello. And I mean, even our production weren't sure what team's cameras to put on the screen, and I don't blame them, because coming down to a couple of seconds at a 1v1 where they're just gonna spray and hope their bullets are the ones that connect M&M, you have done it, Nello. You've come in huge there, but it was only just. Now, can we see if we can thread a couple more of them together?
Nello versus Brede, 1v1. That, for me, is one of the matchups of the ages. 2 of the best site players we have in Siege today, particularly defensively. They know every inch of those sites inside and out. This time, it was Nello who managed to come out on top. A very nice finish for him. 1v2, ultimately. He was able to close it out, but boy, was that close. That shot from Elems, I just thought, please, not again. MNM have got this. Like, they should be able to do this. They've got the bulletproof. They've got freezer, they've got everything they need, but no, Helem's still able to somehow try and find a way. But MNM, they managed to get it on the board, and that is what is important. It is now 3-1. BDS going to be attacking onto Dorms as MNM. They have to move this time.
Got to move, got to try and do it somewhere else, and, well, this was a blink and you missed it. And there's a part of me that is a curious part of me that wanted to see the site again, because I wanted to see what BDS did. It is always hard in this game to try and thread every single route that a player is running, but you learn to pick it up, especially with the thousands and thousands of hours you and I have put into this game, watching, casting, and playing. But at the same time, those 3 strikes in 3 completely different things within about a second of each other, and you want to roll back the tape. You want to try and see it again, which in our situation, unless it happens live, you're not going to see it until the VOD review later on, and I guess MNM might be in the same case here.
I mean, to give you a sneaky peek of the break that will be after this matchup, Fabian just dashed his way into the studio and was playing with the telestrator a little bit. So I think we're going to be seeing some more of this game afterwards. I'm not exactly sure which bit it will be, but hopefully we will have time to squeeze that in alongside the interview if things align for us. Shaiko, he's going to be heading through aggressively once again into Trophy. Anybody peeks him and they are likely to lose their head. That utility that's in there, the shield, is pretty much defunct now, and that is not going to be of any further use to these defenders. Shaiko, he's looking to get, I think, himself back on the board here. Obviously, he was taken out in the last round. Not too much of an impact there, and he did have a big start. 5 kills, as we can see, inside of the 4 rounds we've had so far, but the majority coming in the first 2 rounds, so he's not going to want to let that go cold.
Well, they get themselves the angle of approach here across Attic. They haven't been able to take the bodies, but look at this difference. Now that there are these players underneath that they put a lot of time and dedication to before, this time they're not paying them as much direct focus. They've sort of realized the hold is one they can try and stress in a slightly different way, and that is that slightly different way. Tyrant is just tucked in around the corner. He was caught last time by a swing where he was sitting around the stage area. This time, whether he's being watched intently, I don't know. And I guess nobody will until he actually goes and takes the moment to try and strike.
BDS is doing the work inside a pit there, just preventing those throwables from coming on in. Shaiko looks away at just the wrong time. I think he might have got an opportunity had he not, but he just steps away and uses that nano boost to just try and be a catalyst for this attack.
Lems, he's crept his way all the way in, and he goes for the first at the top of the stairs, finds the second, and now he doesn't know there's a body up on the bunk, and he suffers because of it. Users hops down and gets two. Rafal and Lems go, but they're trying to put the kit down right round the corner. Tyrant, here's that moment to strike I talked about, but he's a little bit too late because the rest of MNM have been able to strike first. That single player of Users being unchecked, he's able to do a Users thing, which is a big clutch, and granted, there was still 3 members of his team left alive, but him being unknown there, him being able to pull out those 2 players entirely through BDS's plan into the air and allowed the space for the other MNM players to deep dive their way in. Alems was going to watch that swing round from the 2 that got the planter, and so was that player in Attic going to watch the rotation come through. One man on a bunk bed had a different idea.
Boy, oh boy, was that close. Lem's just allowed to walk his way on in there, but MNM certainly seem to have woken up, and that is good news for this matchup. It's not going to be as one-sided as it might have originally appeared. Team BDS, they move on to round 6 on the attack here. It's going to be their final opportunity to be the aggressor, and they're going to be heading in towards Kitchen and Meeting this time. MNM choosing to lock down their third choice site. And more the choice being that it's Meeting and not Dining, because, of course, they have won the last 2, which may come as a surprise if you saw the first 3 rounds. But MNM certainly finding their feet and locking a few down. Now then, are they going to be able to lock down that difficult third site? I don't fancy MNM's chances if they go into the half at 4-2 down with BDS going on to the defence. If you have a spot on a map named after you, your team is usually pretty good at defending it.
Yeah, it kind of is 2 and 2 there. You put it together and you put a bit of a challenge in. If they can get themselves 3 apiece, you can take a couple of knocks and a couple of write-offs, but, you know, we're also in a meta where we can see good attacks driven. We have seen MNM do some work. They are a good clutch team, and I think that's one of the things as well, as they have a couple of players that can have a couple of huge moments, as we just sort of saw there with that drive before, but we're not there yet. Now with the Ossa, they're going to see if they can try and make an approach. A lot of attention is being paid, and we've seen Ossa played on this side a couple of times, generally around stage. They see if they can put one at the top of the Attic rotation to cover the Attic rotation, and they just try and dip one in onto stage. You'll bait out a couple of explosives maybe, you'll definitely bait out a couple of smokes, usually, but it's still just a little hole to plant behind.
Lem's just holding a longer angle in there, knowing that somebody may well try and peek themselves out of Meeting as a rotate to move elsewhere, get themselves around to Kitchen, although there is likely a rotation between the 2 sites that's going to allow that movement without the risk of heading through split. Solotov is up above. Attic wall is soft as well, which gives him a good opportunity to potentially spray through there. Usually what we're going to see, we've got the Ossa on site, so if you're wondering, you know, what's going to happen here on this attack, generally speaking, you try and get 2 Ossa shields down, one that gives you a view into Attic, and one that gives you a view from the mezzanine there into sight. Try and work from behind both of them, pick up a couple of kills, and then look at getting onto stage to put your diffuser down. We have also sit there as the first one, and the second one will be lower down so they can use it going into Meeting. We have seen them try and put it on stage sometimes to get a plant down behind it as well. We'll see what they go with.
Well, currently, the other one is sat just at the end of Kitchen Corridor. So they've given themselves a little bit of swing space. They've given themselves a little bit of confidence. And you can see that they're pre-firing as much as they can, Alems here, just to keep them off the hatch. That's the important part. Because if they have the important control here over the top of stage, nothing is going to stick, regardless of who's still standing. Shaiko means that one less player is. He's looking through the drone hole to see if anybody's close on the corner of the bags, but they are not, and this will allow BDS to keep burning, keep working. Shaiko is just not stopping moving. He's swinging around onto every which way. They drop the camera at the back of the room, and they pre-fire onto the player on the door on the angle, and Neo's playing a risky game there, but he doesn't quite have the success. Shaiko almost caught out, but Renshiro in the meantime does the business behind the smoke.
Problem with Shaco playing that Finker is he's able to just boost up his health once he takes the damage, leaving himself now at about 50 and quite capable of taking another gunfight. 20 seconds left to go. Neo, his utility is gone. The Nitro has been used, but Nello able to find one onto Renshiro. That's better from MNM. 4 versus 3, and can they hold on? 10 seconds left to go. BDS have to get in and try and get a diffuser down here. Playday is going to do exactly that, taking a little bit of damage from the smoke canister. He's going to go down. He can't hold on to it. Surely this is an MNM round. They come in with a blitz of kills at the end, and they just prevent that diffuser going down and manage to hold on to their third choice site, and out of absolutely nowhere, they run back the first half, and we find ourselves now 3-3.
Well, I think in the history of tactical timeouts going well, this is up there for me. Not just because of how they've been able to pull themselves back together after it, but when we're sat here with full omnipotence, looking at that game and going, how are they going to do this one, mate? That's a big job. That's a big job, that.
The old workman exhale.
Oh, that's a big job.
Big job, that.
And it was. And they've done it. And that last one was a bit scrappy, sure. BDS had done kind of everything right, including getting the opening 2 kills. It was another 3 versus 5. The second in a row that MNM were able to turn into a win. And that one, they just kind of stalled out.
They did. They did stall out. They just. I was sort of waiting for it from about 30, 40 seconds. I thought, yep, they're ready. They're going to, yep, they've got the man advantage. Right. They're going to push in. They're going to try and get this diffuser down. Come on, BDS. But they just never, like you say, took that first step. And when they did, it was just far too late, with Playday able to be taken down by once again. If you remember, I picked up on it earlier, Nello, and his ability of playing inside a site. And what a shock. Nello lands the Toxic Babe canister in the perfect position to be able to down Playday and prevent that diffuser being stuck. So we move on to the second half. BDS are going to find themselves on attack. Shaiko, unsurprisingly, is playing inside of Shaiko's spot, and we are going to be looking at a laundry defense.
Now, it's also worth taking into consideration just where these teams are sort of sitting on the board of things. MNM, they're last. But if they're able to pull more than 1 point from this, they guarantee themselves at least 9th, because Pons, they've played and they've lost, and they're only sitting there with 1 point they got from an OT. So it becomes this sort of situation, or is it 2 points from an OT even? So, you know, if you're looking at 2 points here from the side of MNM, if they can kind of put a difference in, they've generally had close games on their losses, which means their round difference might not be too horrible. I don't know it off the top of my head, which means that, well, it's the start of something. It's points on the board. Every team in EUL will be off the board at that point, and the race that's already close stays close.
A few of the attacks that we've seen for MNM over the first couple of play days have just lacked a little bit of direction sometimes. It's felt like they've sort of stalled out in the middle of it. They've not always found that final push, so hopefully that's not something that they're going to suffer to today. And especially on a map like Oregon, they should know it inside out. They should be fully ready for this, and we may well just see them have that little bit extra that they need to try and get a couple of rounds here. BDS completely locked down inside a site. Nothing too unusual for BDS. They're pretty much a site-heavy team. We don't see them on the roam too much, generally speaking, and they are going to continue with that. Tyrant looking to use that explosive utility with the nades, trying to just pop them over the top there. Hasn't caught anybody yet, but he knows somebody is playing there now. The Twitch drone is going to get in and be taken out. I don't think there's going to be too much of an opportunity. He goes into highway with the nade. Not going to find anybody there. 5 versus 5. MNM not really having made too much progress inside the first 2 minutes 10.
No, and that's it right now, is they're leaving themselves with smaller and smaller windows. They have pings and reveals on where the players are, but unless you're forcing them out of the chassis, he's just going to, for now, play in his own smoke and sort of just keep himself going. They have the lockdown. They have everything else. Playday puts some pressure. There's an anchor hole that's about to be opened up here, but it's instantly locked, and there's the swing round. Tyrant responds, and Nello doubles it down with a grenade. Suddenly they have some space. 30 seconds. Renshiro bites back a little and tries to drive himself into freezer. There's still a player round on the swing, but look at this quick pick up sticks. They don't have another option. They have to make it land here, and Nello with a grenade over the top. There's almost one more, but it's a Malusi that gets caught out. Shaiko locked in, a 1 versus 4, and Shiro, everything to do, but MNM do it a little bit better. 4-3.
MNM fans, it's happening. Dude, Do not adjust the device that you are watching this game on. You have just seen your team run back a 3-0 drumming, I think it's fair to call it, that BDS started out with. We now find ourselves 4-3 as MNM are right back in this and in charge of things. On the attack, it looks like they're probably going to be attacking onto Laundry once again as BDS choose to go down to the basement. But I'm really fascinated by this BDS side now. We've seen them struggle for consistency. We spoke about it earlier. They looked like they came in at their best, and now it's tailing off a little bit. How will they deal with this adversity? An adversity that BDS are becoming a little bit more familiar with lately.
I think that's it. There's no two ways about the statements we made. That BDS was scary, very scary. And MNM, they've had a great response. They weren't doing anything too horribly before when they lost the first 3 rounds. They found the tweaks that they believe could get them to work, drive them across the point. And now you're on attack. It's a different story, sure, but I think it's the shining star that they've been able to pull themselves back through. BDS, they've got a little bit slowed, a little bit of a problem here, and they found themselves on the back foot for the first time this game, truly. And, well, it was on the opening defense, the opening time for them to try and get some control.
Going to have a little technical timeout as we go for a rehost. I think it was called by BDS. They got the nod, and we will just get the rehost going, get everybody back in and continue on. But BDS certainly struggling at the minute on a slippery slope of momentum that is just hurtling MNM downhill towards a win at the minute. If this continues, they're going to have it done in quick fashion. BDS need to dig in deep here, and they need to find themselves a way to get this defensive round on the board, and then they can start fighting back again. If they can take Laundry, I'm sure they'll be confident in taking top floor and dorms as well, and then it's on to the tertiary side. But right now, MNM, they're going to be a difficult beast to stop.
I think that's it here from MNM is, there was always a lot of promised sharpness, but to be honest, we didn't have to paint it too, sort of broadly. Most people out there, regardless of what region you're a fan of, are aware of the works of Nello and what he's been able to do. If you're from the sort of UCAN scene, or if you're from the sort of national scenes, you'll probably recognize a couple of the other names of the roster, but their run in CL was sturdy. They came in as one of the favorite teams and sort of ended up in that position too, against a lot of stiff opposition that has sometimes actually stepped in on other rosters across this league. They had a really good run at SI. They impressed a lot of people at SI. I think for them it was a sort of cherry on the top of the cake of a great year, and they did well. But then they got into this and things were a little bit under what I think. Just a little bit. We had high expectations of them, I think is the fairest way of putting it.
This is the problem, isn't it? When expectations are so high, and it's easy to get carried away. Mm-hmm. It's easy to get carried away and think, yes, this team is just going to be world beaters. But really, you got to give them the time. You got to give them the time to really accomplish that.
It looks like
I could see that something was puzzling you.
Well, I was working out if Alem's camera was still on or if it would just disconnected off the face of the earth. But from my angle,
if he just likes his room that dark,
really dark. But when Shaiko's screen was dark, it looked like it was just like the same camera from perspective. It looked like it blended in, and Shaiko was just on a sofa, just like lounging and playing.
Well, we're gonna head back in. That's gonna.
Yeah, just change the subject.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay. Doesn't Des talk about these things?
I don't always listen that much.
Understandable.
When he goes off at a tangent.
Very understandable.
I don't always listen that much.
I don't know if he's watching.
Des knows that I love him. His discussions about the game, obviously top tier, but
yeah, well, I mean,
he goes off a tangent. He starts talking about like anime and stuff. He loses me, but bless him.
Tweet about him about anime. If you're a fan of anime, Des wants his inbox filled.
He does. We love Des. So, heading back into the game, we are out, of course. You don't want Hap to feel left out.
No.
You're not left out, buddy. We love you too. We love you too. So, coming back into things, it's going to be down in Laundry and Basement once again. Shaiko and BDS thinking that they can do things a little bit better this time, but they weren't even really kind of close last time. MNM were pretty much well in charge of that round, and if they go for a rinse repeat, BDS are really going to have to do something differently.
And I guess that's it, is there's been a bit of a break in momentum. They are still coming down to the same site. We've got a couple of changes here. The Arena Gates are stepped up into the mix as well. They're going to see if they can try and slow some, because to be fair, they lost 2 players to grenades. If they can just take a little bit extra out of the throwables, then even if they survive one of those, it could be a bit of a turnaround. It could be a bit of different energy. Renshiro is just prepping a couple of things down here on the opposite side of tower stairs, but it seems like MNM are paying their attention at first towards the same place they paid it to before. Droning out and the checking and the clarity over this second floor. They have the freedom to move. Now they're going to see if they can try and start the close down onto the hatches.
Neo straight in, gets the X-Kairos pellets on there. He's going to head to security, do the same thing, open up the hatch into Freezer. So again, we're likely to see a multifaceted attack. We've got one on Freezer stairs, one just buzzing about on the top floor, making sure that everything is clear and in control. Little punch hole knocked in rear stage there, so Neo just taking a cautious approach and opening the hatch from distance. The beauty of Hibana, of course, is the ability to do that without risking yourself too much. That's going to be electrical hatch open. Shaiko still in Shaiko's spot, supported by Ren Shiro, bottom rear stage and into pillars, and they've got that side of things locked down pretty good at the minute, but MNM are posturing for that Freezer and Laundry take again.
I think that's it, is they're sort of avoiding that other side. When you become synonymous with a spot, you give it a bit of space. Solitov, he's going to go and make his way around and potentially try and apply some pressure and attention towards E-Box Hatch and see if he can draw some focus or some fire. They've got the gate, but he'll still have at least another smoke in his pocket should he try to break his way through, or he might use a drone as that pocket bit of utility. The pressure is on this close player. They've been able to get rid of that close gate, and they bounce that round to the corner in the connector, but it doesn't quite have the full connection. Alems also survives that one. The face and the damage doesn't quite get them either. They're still standing, 50 seconds. We're getting into that dicey moment, but to be fair, MNM made it work last time.
Rafal going to take out the drone as it comes in. Alems is just changing his angle here to try and get more aggressive into Freezer, working onto Highway instead. The Hibana pellets being applied to the wall were a bit of a catalyst last time. Somebody stepped up to try and clear them off, and MNM took the opportunity to swing and get a kill, but this time it's Rafal to start things off. He's going to find one onto Neo. Usus manages to get Alems. We had Tyrant down, able to pick himself back up with that nanobot shot. 3 versus 3 as kills come in on either side. Tyrant going big after getting himself back up off the ground, and Shaiko is being pushed all the way back to pillar here. Playday is in support on the rotation, but doesn't see the man. The wall just cutting him out, and that's going to be a double for MNM to finish things off, and they are well and truly in charge here. 5-3 now, 5 rounds in a row, and they are on course for a bit of an upset.
I mean, it's an upset even within the context of the game. Heaven forbid if you had never watched a single game of competitive Siege. Imagine. Terrible experience, never watching competitive Siege. But, for the purpose of this, imagine, and you come and this is the first game you watch, and you're here and you sat and you watch, and you're like, this BDS team, they're pretty good. That's 3 rounds, they're probably going to win this. And then suddenly you start to get this comeback coming through, you start to see this, and it's like, okay, there's a couple rounds, there's a couple more, and suddenly that's 5 rounds in a row. MNM have tied together. And I guess it's still this game they're playing. As I said, they've never played this game poorly, but BDS played it super well. BDS has dropped down a little, and now a little bit more, because these holds that are being put together, I think that was a triple kill there for users, or a double kill actually. We get the wonderful rehost to give us up-to-date info, but they had the cover. Tyrant as well, a player that we wanted to start seeing to pop off because of what he's capable of, getting 2 of his own, and suddenly BDS doesn't look as ironclad as they did.
No, absolutely not. MNM getting a little bit of confidence behind them as well here. If we have a look at the attacker repick, we're going to see that Tyrant's brought along the knock. We've got Neo switching out to the Jackal, so they're going to look to deal with any roamers, I would imagine, quite quickly, and just force BDS to play this one largely from on side of sight. They've also got the 2 vertical options. You've got Usus with the nades. Obviously, I know that the sledgehammer can't reach up to the ceiling, but he's going to use the nades from underneath more than likely, and Solitov with the skeleton key of Book as well, just to open up that floor underneath and make it even trickier for BDS to hold themselves inside a sight. Now Tyrant, he's gone straight in, he's going to come to blows here. There's one just moved down Freezer stairs, not sure exactly who it is. It's Alems on the Valkyrie. Who's going to be more aware of the other? It's Alems who reacts, but Tyrant finds him. What a snapshot onto the head of Alems, and that is a big play from the knock.
Oh, huge play there, and that could have gone either way. Oh, he got a couple of bullets in. Tyrant just pulls it out there in a slightly better location. They've been able to find an important take on the bottom there. They've cut off a chance at a rotation. Alem's had an idea. Whether the call came through that it had been opened or not, either way, suddenly you're in a very different spout of affairs. Here, Rafal playing on that connector. It's a bit of a bold run out there, and Tyrant isn't punished on this, but Solotov quickly goes to offer some resistance and assistance here on the backside and see if they can try and pinch the trophy player.
I think that was the smoke of Renshiro just taking a pot shot out of Armory window there. I think he probably heard the barricade and thought, I'll have a little spray down, but I'm not sure that he's aware of Nox's presence on that window, just as Alems wasn't really certain, I don't think, down in Freezer. And this could be Tyrant having a big moment again. If he takes the opportunity to hop on in, he might just find himself one before Renshiro relocates. Solotov is working that double window. Users finds Rafal underneath, and all of a sudden MNM are in a 5v3, and they're staring down the barrel of a potential match point opportunity if they can get this round done. Playday, Shaiko both trying to hold on to Attic. They're locked inside a pit. MNM just need to get things moving here now and take advantage of the manpower they've got.
Users took a huge amount of damage before he got the kill, and Nello gets the kill there. Shaiko forced to a rotation by the grenade work from underneath and caught by the player watching the window. They have some pings, but this is clinical from MNM, and I'm not saying that it's entirely pinpoint accuracy. It's a little bit scrappy, but they know what they want to do next, and they're making sure that it comes together. Neo suffers on the approach, but he's able to get himself stuck in with the plant. Tyrant has the cover there onto the swing round. It's a 5 versus 1 post-plant situation behind the bunks, and Playday, lost in the smoke, at least picks the header for 1, but suddenly 2 more appear like a Hydra. And it's 1 from Yukin, and there it is. Map point, 6-3, 6 rounds in a row for MNM across the half.
Well, you saved the best for last there, didn't you? That's the real key point there. 6 rounds in a row. Who would have expected that from MNM? They're a good team, we know this. But they're playing against BDS, and they came out looking like they were absolutely ready for takeoff today, the BDS. And then they've just completely been shut down after round 3. Absolutely nothing coming to the table. And MNM practically toying with their food by the end of that round. Nello just stood on the rooftop of the attic there, waiting for Shaiko to move across. It was just all so pre-planned and perfect. It went fantastically well for them. Well played, MNM. 6-3 now, and they are absolutely cruising, and the upsets just continue to pour forward in EUL, not just today, but Playday after Playday.
I think that's the thing about it, because, you know, I'm unfortunately not entirely versed in how things are going in every single region up to the date. I know that there's been upsets inside NA. We've seen upsets inside
Astralis have got themselves a couple of big wins. Yeah. TSM took a loss. Xset beat Sonic 7-0. Yeah. There's been some real upsets inside of NAL as well.
And we find ourselves here, sitting in a similar situation to
W7M in LATAM.
Yep. Exactly.
Upsets.
And it's the thing is, what's going on in this matter?
I love it.
What's the story?
Absolutely love it.
in APAC
Direwolves
South.
in APAC South.
I don't know if they're still unbeaten. Did they win today? Spoiler alert. They're unbeaten today, and across the board of Siege, not just in EU.
I love it, because it just shows, to me, it's just strength in depth.
Yeah, and maybe this is just a long workaround to explain why our predictions are so poor. No, it is.
This is a very elaborate ruse.
This is a very elaborate way to over-explain why. No, but it's great. If our predictions are wrong,
I would like to get, and this may be controversial,
do it.
I'd be happy to get 0% on predictions throughout the year. If I can't pick a single game right, that means we're getting surprises, upsets, shocks, and entertainment. Playday after Playday.
That's it. Like, obviously, there's some people that will throw their predictions to be a little bit back and forth and have some fun about it. There's some people that have made deals with teams. But generally,
That sounded more sinister than it was.
No, he's made deals with teams because when he predicts them, they lose.
Exactly. He just abstains from the prediction.
Tyrant biting on the heels here of a player that just rotates their way down into Freezer. They've gone back down to Laundry for this, an attempt to not get entirely swept back aside on this map, and their response might be a lean back into some pressure. Alems, they're wasting utility earlier, and that's good. I talked about how important the grenades were the first approach. They came in a little bit clutch on the second, but here, being able to take them out of power positions that they were previously not even holding is a good bit of growth for BDS.
It is, indeed. MNM are sweeping across the mid-floor as it stands. They're going to get those hatches open once again. Security into Freezer. Going to allow the push onto that side. Get Laundry open. And I imagine, why not? It's worked twice. Let's give it another go. Get some pressure into both of those sides. But maybe a little bit more on the backside. We've got Usus over there as well. Renshiro playing in the same position. My concern for BDS here is that they are doing the same thing. They're doing the same thing that hasn't worked twice before. We've got Shaiko in Shaiko spot. We've got Renshiro on pillars. We've got Breedy on the rotation. We've got Rafal down by bomb chassis. They're all doing the similar sorts of things, and MNM have had the answer so far.
Well, now they're trying to put some pressure here onto the Pitler. They're getting E-Box hatch open. It's been a slower approach. BDS have forced some play, and it's forced MNM to do a slightly different approach. They didn't feel confident going for the full control based on the pressure around Freezer this time. And to be fair, if you've run it twice and it's been successful both times, you can understand why they might try and respond. Tyrant just misses a slink pass, but is going to hope he sees one that goes back the other way. It's a moving of ADSs. Does he get the strike? There it is. He watched Rafal run one way, caught him on the way back. Shaiko almost destroyed by a grenade from E-Box, I assume. The Twitch drone gets the read on him heading up the stairs. Is there a player aware? Yes, they are. Tyrant gets a double, and I choked like BDS is here. It's a spray and a third for Tyrant over the top, and I'm excited for that quote to be in the top plays of the week. Playday blinded, Renshiro firing through a quad for Tyrant, and finally living up to his name and his title. 8-0 since the rehost. He's got the kit, but Solotov has the ace. MNM have the win, and they finally break the barrier and get a comforting selection of points to their name.
I think it's fair to say that BDS's tactical timeout was slightly less successful than MNM's in that case, because what a nightmare the French side have just had. They've just had a complete run back after getting the first 3 rounds. MNM have just taken them for 7. They've just absolutely pitched it up and Pop knocked it out of the park. What a performance! That's your first win in EUL, MNM! Unbelievable! What a way to style it out!
I mean, the best team talk timeout in the history of Siege? Maybe. It's definitely up there. We'll leave that. We're throwing to a quick break before our analysts have to try and make sense of that. And we saw him get a clip for the telestrator, and
I don't think we're going to see it. I think it was a BDS clip.
Cut it. Go to break.